Welcome everyone, I am Anne Rainton and welcome back to Who is That Image Consultant? And it is my greatest pleasure today to introduce you to Lula Kiah, who is in Denver, USA. Welcome, Lula.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Now, Lula has got to be the most impressive image consultant I have ever come across. I've had the pleasure to train Lula, but training is only just the very beginning of a career. And if you are going to go anywhere big like Lula has in your career, then your training is just that initial setup. And so I have no claim to what Lula is about to tell you about her career, what we're about to discuss. But if you really want a career to go places, and you'll find out what I mean by going places, then Lula is the story to listen to. So Lula, I'm going to start always at the very beginning. Tell me what you did before you decided to become an image consultant, maybe why you decided to enter into it, how that all came about.
So I have a degree in finance. And after I finished college, I was working for a Spanish bank. And in this Spanish bank was growing, and they were buying branches all over the place. They were buying branches in Canada, in the US, and in South America. And I was in the training department for them. I was working for them on the training department and training new products. And with the expansions, for the bank, I had to train people in Costa Rica, Mexico, everywhere, Canada, everywhere. And, every time they were buying a new bank, they would keep some of the employees and they would let go some of the, new employees especially. And they will ask me, a feedback about the employees. And I will say, this person is amazing. He's very intelligent, very well organized. He has very good contacts. But the problem was that he didn't look like it, he didn't behave like it, and he didn't communicate like it. So even that he was doing a good job, he wasn't showing that potential in the way that he expressed his social skills. So we start doing a little bit of training on social skills, just a little bit. It helps a lot. I was able to save some people from the bank, right? And I'm like, I need to learn how to do this professionally because I was just doing it by common sense, right? I was setting up a training. I was like, well, this is the way that you're supposed to do a handshake, but I didn't have any proper training. So I started taking some training, and this is how I met Anne.
So Lula, once you realised that maybe image consulting is what you wanted to train with, how did you find Image Innovators and what brought you all the way to Australia to train?
So the thing that impressed me the most was the styling program. Okay, that at that time, remember, it was a binder with pictures. So it was like, 10 years ago, we didn't have an online program. It was just pictures of the clothes, and you had to highlight the options for your client. And I remember I was working with this program. In the past, we call it corporate etiquette, right? And I remember going to companies and doing a seminar for 35 people, and then 35 people will ask me, could you do a consultation, a style consultation for each one of us? And it was difficult because if I had to do 35 people, it would take me 3 weeks, right? And I was doing something like I was going in the internet and choosing some, pictures from the internet about the right cuts for the clients. And it took me a week to work with every client. So when I find, this tool, I was like, I need to get this training, right? And then I fly all the way to Australia. And I took the training, and then after that, right, we got it online and all of that. But that was the main thing. I think the style portfolio is one of the most amazing tools that an image consultant has. Because in the past, I was just doing a consultation per week. That was the only thing I was able to do because it would take me like so long, right? And with a portfolio, I can do 100 in a day, right?
So that's really interesting. So you were doing some improvements in people's looks even before you did some training. You were out there really just practicing it even then. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, I mean, I was working because, I was working for a bank, right? And people would come to me all the time and say, hey, I have this interview and I'm going to do this presentation. Would you help me to find an outfit, right? And I was very focused on the appearance, right? Because that's something, my mom is an interior designer. So probably I got from her, the ability to put colors together and all of that. But it was just something with common sense. After I got, a certification and I studied, I discovered the science behind. So I feel more confident to do, and apply the knowledge to clients. Mm-hmm.
So Lula, you got the training, you went back to the States, and you got maybe your first job. Tell me about that.
I got a phone call from a friend who was working in McDonald's in Chicago. And she said to me, we have this networking event for women. You can come and do a seminar, and we're not gonna pay you because, it's 5 speakers, and it could happen that you come all the way here, and since nobody know you, nobody's gonna sign up for your seminar. And I say, okay. So, I sent the proposal, and they invite me. When I got there, my friend came to the door and she was like very surprised and said, it's amazing, but almost 80% of the women sign up for your seminar. And it was a seminar about style and another one about corporate image.
And was this before or after your training?
After the training.
Oh, okay. So you've gone there. Okay. All right.
So yeah, after the training. And then, so I got into the room and it was 500 women there. I was very scared because it was my first seminar. They don't know that, right? They didn't knew that 20 years ago. And I was nervous. I remember I have these St. John works, these drops that are, these drops. My mom always gives this to me when I need to relax and to be calm. So I got those drops and I was nervous and I put you're supposed to have 3 little drops in a glass of water. And I had the whole thing under my tongue. So I did the seminar like I was a little drunk, I was very relaxed, very happy. I was making jokes and I was having people, in the audience participate in the seminar, and they love it. And this is how, I start. And I say, I need to start doing for a living. I also got a contract with a lawyer firm. And I remember telling them, this is the first time I'm doing this outside of the bank. And the lady was like, just do it. In the same way you do it on the bank, just do it for us. And I did the seminar, and she paid me 3 times more, 3 times my salary for 1 month. So I was like, oh my God, I should be doing this.
Back to the bank.
Yeah. So I quit the bank and I started doing this for a living. At the beginning, it was difficult. The first years for every new business is difficult. And but actually, when you have passion about what you do and people notice that, for some reason, it's kind of like contagious. And people get that passion and they give you contracts and they start hiring you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. One of the most memorable things that I know that really made me go, wow, when you really started to get some momentum out there is you had an interview, well, more than an interview, it's almost like a whole program about what you do on the ABC program. And that's just like unheard of. Tell me how you got that interview.
So everything in this business is about connections. It's about that. So every time I went to a place, every time I go to a place, and people ask me what I do, every time I explain to people, I try to put a lot of passion on it, right? So people can get that. And I was talking to this lady, and we were in a wedding. And she asked me what I do, and I started telling her what I was doing. And an image consultant is like a plastic surgeon. you're in a wedding and you're telling what you do, and 10 minutes later, you have 20 women around asking you questions about their hair and all of that. So I was just telling them, and should I wear this color? And I said, well, your skin is a little complicated. I need to have you come to the studio, and I can go to your house, because at that time I didn't have an office. And I need to put some tools on you and then find out your colors. And one lady was there and said, my sister works for the news. And I want you to do a consultation for her, because I don't know if she has the right image. So sooner or later, next week, of course, after you have a contact, you have to call. Sometimes you have to call every day because people forget about you. So I called like probably 3 times to this lady and say, hey, let's meet for coffee. So I meet with coffee with her, and then we meet with the sister, finally. So I did a whole consultation on her. She was very impressed. And she told me, when I retire from this, I want to do what you do. And I said, that's fabulous. And so after 2 months, the consultation passed, we become friends. So every time I have an event or something, we call her. She never came because she was busy, right? But one day, I remember, it was like 8 in the morning. She called me and said, hey, we need to do a segment about a local business in Chicago, in downtown Chicago. Would you have some time for an interview? That day, I was picking up a client from the airport. And I said to her, listen, I have a client who's coming from out of the country. We are going to do a whole consultation today. And maybe, you can take some videos about me working, in action. And she's like, that's fabulous. Let's do it. We have to call the store, right? The department store that we were doing the shopping session. I have to talk to the manager and say, can I have the news coming into your store? They were super happy about it. They actually cleaned the floor from the store, right? For the video man, do some amazing videos and all of that. So at the end, she told me, we're going to give you 5 minutes or 2 minutes. And it was a 30 minutes story. So it was, things happen like that, and you can say like it was easy. No, I worked very hard in the relationship with this lady, and so that's how we get it. Mm-hmm.
I was just blown away because, as you say, usually these things are like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and have such a long interview. And everybody, I'm going to put the link to it down below that you can watch. It was you just couldn't pay for that advertising,
I know.
And I imagine it did a great lot of benefit, not only then for your business, but the fact that you could have it as part of your portfolio. I mean, wow, what a branding exercise that is. That's just fantastic.
It was great, and it was a great thing to be able to advertise the style portfolio on the news, because the next day we start having tons of emails from people asking about it. Hey, we hear you have a program, you take our measurements and you're going to create a website with all the styles that work for us. And I'm like, yeah, we have it. We scheduled probably 150 consultations after that. So, how
you would have had to bring help in from everywhere.
I know. I mean, some of the consultants that we have, I was calling them and I have to have some help. Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's just so exciting. So thinking about the progression of your career, and of course you and I have known each other now for a long time. It's been a great relationship. I feel proud to be able to call you a friend, a good friend, as well as just a colleague. So in the progression of your business, you were at this point doing things like color and style and makeover type sessions. Then you started to evolve into the corporate arena, right? And you created your professional presence program that's now used by Fortune 500 companies all around the world. And tell me how the development of that started.
So it's a very, very unique story. We got a client coming from Singapore, and she was a doctor. So she called the office and she asked us to do, a style consultation for her. So she fly in. She was doing a speech for 1,000 doctors. In Chicago, you have a lot of networking event for doctors. So they come from all around the world, and usually we used to take all the wife on a shopping trip, right? And this lady, this is how she heard about us. She called us and she's like, I have nothing to wear. And I said, don't worry, we'll take you shopping. So we take her shopping. And the next day she told me, can you be there at the convention with me? So I'm going to do this, seminar, and I want you there because I don't have any friends here, and we become friends. I said, okay. So the next day I was there, and I was mortified for her. So all she was doing, right? She was a very intelligent woman. She told me everything about this new research that she was doing, because we spent one day shopping together. She get into the stage and she was freaking out, and she was just reading like this, the whole thing. She didn't do any eye contact with the audience. She got very nervous. After that, they have a networking event and I stayed with her. She didn't even know how to handshake, right? It was bad. And somebody asked her, like, oh, you have a nice outfit, because she had a nice outfit. And she said that we were image consultants who were working for her. And I was so embarrassed because I said, we're not doing our job. It's not only appearance. We have to teach her about how she can do appropriate speech. I should be, training with her and doing eye contact and teaching her how to do a handshake. And also after that we have lunch, and she was kind of eating with her hands, and it was terrible. So I'm like, no, I have to start doing this. So I started researching and reading a lot of books. I got some training, right? But it's more about the experience that you start having with companies and all of that. So we put together a program, and we realized after that companies wanted it. Because especially with these new generations, the millennials, they don't put too much attention, or they don't have too many people training them on this. And so we got a great response for companies. They were very interested on learning about executive presence. And then we realized, hey, we have 300 employees here. All of these people can be individuals who can hire us for a style, a color consultation, and a personal shopping session and a wardrobe. So every time we get, because executive presence is about 4 pillars, right? It's first impressions, appearance, behavior, and communications skills. So every time we talk about appearance, we explain and give a lot of useful strategies and tips for that. But we always said, we understand that appearance is for individuals, right? And you probably have a lot of personal questions about this. This is why we have this website that we create for you. We take your measurements. Usually, if the price is, this much, but with the company, we made an agreement for today that is this much. And we were selling 100, 200 in a day. So it works. And sometimes, right, we got the strategy about talking to the company before the workshop, and they will pay for the employees, which is even better, right? So we find a way to start working with corporate, and also still working with appearance, right? And with style and with color and all of that. You can do those things together with no problem.
Yes. They're definitely not mutually exclusive, because you can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
The visual component is that visual resume. It's the first thing that's going to open the doors and have people give you the time to listen to you and whatever. And then you have to back it up with the behavior and the social niceties that, and all the rest, the body language and so forth, that they all work together to create that successful presence. And I think that is one of the big differences between us and stylists, is that a stylist will dress you, and it's often based around what's the fashion of the day, whereas we look more in depth at the body and look at the goals and all the rest of what you want and how you want to present yourself. But then we go also into body language and etiquette and social skills that gives that person that rounded image. And that's, I guess, where our name comes from, is image consultant. We're not fashion consultant, color consultant, we're a image consultant. And to me, that's the very big difference that people don't always understand about an image consultant or what they do.
No, and it's a very important part of your, it has to be a very important part of your service. We have a case about this girl. She's a very well-known lawyer in Chicago, and she never got a boyfriend. So for me, dressing her up, it was 2 hours. And I told her, I can, change your image and dress you up more feminine in 2 hours. But this girl, you ask her, like, tell me what you do for a living. And she was amazing. She was a golf champion. She traveled all around the world. She became a partner for her firm, and she was only 27 years old. I mean, brilliant. But she didn't know how to act around guys. So we had to pretend that we went on a date, and I had to, teach her, because that's behavior, right? And how to communicate with a guy is very different. A guy will get scared with that huge curriculum that she has. He said, is this something that you have to bring up later, after 10 days? So that, and every image consultant needs to know about these, these skills. And there's a lot of common sense behind, but also, you need to be able to coach your client, not only on the appearance, but on the other skills too. And also, every profession can have this. We had a client, and he was a graphic designer. And he was, dressing like every graphic designer, very frumpy, very comfortable. So we upgrade his image so he can, because he had this company and clients didn't want to pay him on time, and he has a lot of problems. And then after that, he was so grateful with our services that he invited us to do a talk to the graphic designer organization that he was part of, right? It's an association. And then from there, we got a lot of clients. So from your individual clients, you can get engagements, to the corporate environment, and then start working for them. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and it takes that first gutsy step to go out there, start the networking, create the relationships, the genuine relationships, and it will progress. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen, as they say.
No,
all right.
It's hard. Networking is a full-time job.
Yes, and it's the same. Every interview, everyone's saying the same thing. Now, I think before you created the Executive Presence Program, you'd already become involved with us as a master license for the Spanish-speaking world, and that's great. So tell us a little bit about your role in that.
So, I have been a trainer for life. When I graduated from college, I started doing training on Excel. Could you imagine macros for Excel in college, right? I love teaching people, and that's one of the things that I have a lot of passion for it. So I realized that it was a potential in the market for the Spanish community, because any Latino or any Spanish community, we care a lot about how they will look, and we are willing to spend money on it, right? And also we're willing to spend money on somebody who can coach, or image. So I saw that potential, and that's why, I started doing the master license, which is one of the best decisions I ever got, because it's not only about being passionate about what you do. It's amazing. This job, you wake up, you take a client for a shopping session, in the evening you are doing a session in a company, then you have, a radio interview talking about style tips or anything. So if you add that you are also training people and sharing this with other people who can have this dream, because it's a dream, to work in something like this, it has become one of my biggest passions. So it has been a fantastic journey. Mm-hmm.
But it's not been an easy one, because you had to take all our materials, which are vast, and translate them into Spanish, which was a mammoth job, and doesn't really ever end, does it? We're always creating something.
You also have to adapt it to the culture and all of that. But it's also very interesting to see how different cultures react different, right, to different knowledge. So that's one of the main things when you travel, right? You can see what are the beauty on somebody that is from Peru is completely different. Somebody from Argentina, different from somebody that is from Colombia, from Mexico, from Africa. It's different. And it's amazing to discover that, right?
And that brings me to the very next thing, is that your business and the mix of, being the master license holder for us and your executive presence, that has now taken you literally around the world. I don't know of any other image consultant who has traveled to as many places as you in as fewer years. And, you've got this demand all around the world now, which just thrills me to the back teeth every time I see it happening. And, I'm showing on the screen now just some of the places you've been. And what was the first trip you had outside of the US or Mexico?
So the first trip was Canada. That was the first one. And then the second was Argentina, Buenos Aires.
Right.
And Africa, then the next was Africa, and then Asia, Japan.
And
right?
you've done what, Sweden and Russia, and it's like there's almost nowhere you haven't done, as everyone will be seeing on the screen. It must be an absolute joy, and as I say, I'm just so excited. To me, you are one of the most impressive image consultants in the world, and yet you are truly humble. And I think people who are successful, they don't need to blow their own horn. So there would be a lot of people in our industry who have no idea of just how far you reach around the world, which is just absolutely astounding, Lula.
Oh, thank you. Listen,
So
behind all of that is a lot of work.
Of course.
It's a lot of work, and to make those contacts and to make it happen is about getting to know the culture very well, because they work completely different in the way that we work. So you have to adjust to that. And then usually the way that you get the contacts is every company now is international, everyone. So I'm working with a consulting firm here in Denver. Oh, they have an office in New York. They have an office in Moscow, Russia. So you do a good job, they want to take you other locations to do it. Every, IBM, MedLife, all of these big companies, they're all around the world, right? So by doing executive presence is one of the best ways, because you do a good job, right? And they want this inside of companies, everything that is good communicate like this, right?
Yes.
So like your training, they have a big convention in Singapore, and they're already talking about your training, and then you got invitations to go to different places around the world. Mm-hmm.
On that cultural thing, I know that you've worked with companies in Japan, particularly a clothing company. So tell us how that cultural thing worked in getting the job like an American in Japan.
So Japanese culture is a very respectful culture, but at the same time, they are very, it's very important for them to hire somebody that is local. So when I start talking to them about the possibility of having, a training, and you really have to impress them. They really need to see that you have something that nobody locals has. So they interview, I think like 5 or 4 people locally. And then after that, they told me, this is what these 4 people offer. What can you offer that is different? And believe it or not, one of the things that they were more impressed was the online style portfolio. So we were able to do it for the associate or the people who work on the store. And they were very impressed with that. They were very impressed about how fast can we determine the colors with the color boards, right? And because, doing a seminar, you have to teach them how to do it fast. And they also were impressed that our knowledge was very simple, very clear. So it wasn't complicated to learn it. That they told me that. So it was one of the biggest challenges for Japanese culture is they will not tell you how they feel. So they always say you, yes, it's okay, but you don't know what they are thinking. And you have to, there is something that is called the microfacial expressions. You probably hear about it. So while somebody from the Philippines or from Mexico, you say something they don't like, they will do a face like very clear. A Japanese will do it in 2 seconds. It's just 2 seconds and you have to really see it, right? So most of the time that I was working with them, I had to guess what was going on, right? So, for example, I would say, yeah, we can do the training, it's 15 hours, and we can do 5 hours a day. And I saw, right, the training department, the director for the training department make a little face. She didn't make eye contact, and I'm like, if there is any problem with that, and she immediately, right, respond, we can't take people away from work. Japanese, the most important thing for them is work. It's too long. So, and I said to her, okay, let's just do 2-hour session per day. That's it, after work. And she loved it. So that's
after work.
After work. So you can, in other countries like Brazil, right? I love Brazil. Brazil is the most happiest culture I ever met. But for them, job is not as important, right? Everything is about a relationship, and so it's more important for you to go and have drinks with them and lunch and than doing actually the job, right? Because you have to work through relationship, and in Japan it's the opposite. It's about your good work, what is gonna speak about it. They give you one small contract first because they want to test you, and then after that, right, you get more and more and more. So it's a challenge, but it's very interesting, right? But it's a challenge, and I have passion about doing it because learning about a new culture is something that fascinates me. Mm-hmm.
And I think there is the key, you know, the enthusiasm and the passion. And also one of the things I admire about you is that regardless of how far you've gone, you still remain very friendly, very humble, very down to earth. And I think that's what people appreciate as well, you know, that when you turn up to somewhere to speak, if it's not quite right, you don't act all the prima donna, you just get in and go, what can I do to help make this right, you know? And that's essentially the person you are, and I think that really resonates with everyone.
I always try to apply that. Like, people is gonna forget what you say, they're gonna forget what you did, but they are never gonna forget how you make them feel.
Absolutely.
And that's my driving, like every day. And you know, the more people you met, the more everybody has their own thing going on, problems and all of that. So all you can do is do nice things for them. And that's my biggest formula for success, is that, you know. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, hearing everything that you say, if someone's listening to this right now, they could go, wow, she has had such a dream run. Yes, it's been hard work, but she's had a dream run. But that's not been true, is it? You haven't had a dream run. You've had a few bumps along the road.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think they're bumps. I think they're cliffs.
I know. I mean, every career has challenges. Exactly, like people came to me and say, oh, you have such a wonderful business, and it's not like, no. And the problems make you grow. That's what happened. You have a problem, you know, we have, 5 years ago, we have a partner and it wasn't the right partner. You know, when two partners are together and one have different values, you can't change their values, right? And we lost, everything, everything, and we have to start all over again.
I think, you know, you're saying we, but it's you.
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, I had to start all over again from scratch. But you know, I had experience. I have contacts. I have my business, and and we now become stronger, 10 times stronger, because, you know, you learn from your mistakes. That's what you do. You learn from your mistake and you start, you know, going up again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you found a new partner, and he's brilliant, right?
I know.
All right. So Lula, besides the executive presence, you actually still work as much with individuals. And I know recently you're doing work for Dillards. So tell us about your relationship with some of the larger department stores.
So we met somebody from Dillards to a networking event. And so we told her, you know, we can do an event together where we can do a seminar and also a runway with spring trends. And somehow she liked the idea, right? They hired us to do the seminar. And on the runway, we have real women So we have short, tall woman, a little overweight.
No models.
No models, no professional models. So when I was explaining the concepts, right, about line and design and accessories and how to put it together, I had the models doing a runway with the concept that we are learning in the class. So it was applied right there. And as an image consultant, right, you have the ability to put outfits together that are beautiful. They have to have the right accessories in the back and the color coordination. And you are also teaching them, how to do it. And after the event, and the clients start, buying a lot of the outfits. They took pictures for the outfit and then go look for especially mine. My outfit was sold, I think, like 10 times. And the outfits for the models as well. There was one pair of shoes that they sold it 35 times for different clients. So it's a win-win relationship. So we ruffle some of the style portfolios and the color consultation, and we were able to get the database for all the clients, and also we got a lot of business, right? We have scheduled wardrobe consultations, we got a scheduled color analysis, and then the style portfolio. So, I mean, that's how, you start to looking into opportunities where you can partner with people who's doing something similar. And you can do it with a small boutique. We have done it with small boutiques. It doesn't have to be a big department store because sometimes it's difficult for them to allow you, to do these kind of events. But we haven't done it with small boutiques, and they already have clients.
And of course, this Dillards one came from one you did earlier with Tony Burch, and there was ones before that. It's just got to be a win-win-win. The audience has got to win because they've got to learn something and have a wonderful time. You've got to win because you're paid and you're getting extra clients on top of it. And the store has to win because they need to sell clothes. And so I believe Dillards sold, in excess of 20,000 that night?
Something like that.
Yeah. So fabulous, right? Everyone's happy.
Everybody happy. Yeah, so we're planning on doing more events with them, and it's just about partnership, and doing alliances with small business too, because they also need clients. They also need, and they give you a place where you can do a seminar. Build credibility, increase your reputation, all of that, right?
Fabulous. So let's finish up the interview with asking you how or where do you see the image industry going in the future? How do you see it changing?
So I think we need to adapt more to the different industries. I have seen, some image consultants that they have this structure, of level of dressing and all of that. Right now, I would say there's like 24 levels of dressing. And you have to adapt to that, because people want to be more comfortable, and you have to recognize that. And then you have to make them look credible. That's the most important part. Make your client look credible by being comfortable. This professional presence, you need to start, getting more into the appearance, behavior, and communications skills, and working more with corporate clients, because you need to understand that the new role, in a family, the mom is working, full time. And these kids are not learning all these skills for these soft skills for anyone. So they, start working, get into a company, and, people get hired because of the technical skills, but they get fired for the lack of interpersonal. And this is a need that is happening right now. So when if you want to grow your business and you want to have this business being full time, you need to get into the corporate world, because it's a need right now in everywhere. You go to MBA programs, universities, IT companies that in the past I could never think about that IT company will hire me. And they say, we didn't know that somebody was teaching about this. We didn't know how to correct our employees or how to tell them, because it's a very sensitive topic. So image consultant need to expand into that. And that's how I see image consultant is going.
That's fabulous. Well, thank you, Lula. It's been a great pleasure to talk to you. And I'm sure, just like myself, everyone's really enjoyed hearing about your journey. So everyone, that's it for today's interview. On behalf of myself and Lula, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and I hope you'll join us next time. So for now, and from Lula, Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.